You might be a prostitute and don't know it. Or you may have engaged in some activities in time past that are conducive with that of a prostitute. First of all, a prostitute is a woman in most instances that sells her body, or she sells sex, having sex with her, in other words, for a monetary benefit or cash benefit. Now, you just heard my rough definition of what a prostitute is. Could you possibly be a prostitute if you have a sugar daddy? A guy that is possibly retired, or a guy that is on disability who receives a large amount of money every month, and you befriend this individual for material favors. Hey, you know what, baby, my rent's due and I'm short. He said, oh, honey, well, how much you need? He's not ordinarily going to offer you any money because it's a mutual agreement. He knows what you're doing and what your intent is. He's not that stupid. Maybe he's not stupid at all. And he knows that if you come over to his house maybe to wash his dishes for him, because he's probably a single man, may even have a girlfriend on the side occasionally. But if it's a guy that is just seeking female companionship, and you come in and you cook a meal for him every once in a while, and he'll probably trust you at some point in time, may even give you the key to his home to come in and do some things for him at the house. But it's not without a cost, and you know this. Maybe sometimes because of the way in which you were raised, you didn't have very much coming up. You could have been in between jobs, no job, on welfare even, coming up. But you realized that you had a commodity called sex, called that feminine thing, called your body even, that you could use to get what you wanted from a man. So you took advantage of it. Could you possibly be a prostitute? Or could you have possibly engaged in activities that are indicative of being a prostitute? I think you get the point. Are you that woman that your husband is no longer in the home? He may have passed away. He may have left you. You possibly divorced. Or even your boyfriend. You don't have one. Maybe can't keep one. So you find yourself on Section 8. You find yourself with limited income. You find yourself working at a fast food restaurant. Maybe two jobs. A fast food restaurant. Maybe housekeeping somewhere else. Or even a factory job. But you just can't seem to make ends meet. So you run into a guy. You know you've been burned by someone in time past, or maybe even you burned him in your relationship in past time. So you come across a guy, you're a little standoffish at first, but you see that the guy has a pleasant personality and has maybe even a nice vehicle, has his own home or apartment. So you sort of kind of finagle your way into his life. You talk to him, you say all the things he'd like to hear, and eventually you end up in his house and possibly in his bed within the first week of meeting him. Could you possibly be a prostitute? Could you just hold off maybe for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe a month, while you're just luring him in as if you're on a fishing trip? Could be luring him in, right? And after you have built up his confidence in you, supposedly, at some point in time, you make him feel like he's special. You might even start touching him, putting your hand on him. So, yo, you're so funny. And then he'll look at you at a certain distance and say, wow, I'd like to have me some of that. And you're picking up on it because you were trying to bring him in the first place. But there is something that you still want from that man. You want some stability financially. He may not be your man permanently, but he might be that guy that keeps you out of the fire, so to speak, or from behind the eight ball, or from, destroying your life the rest of the way. Could it possibly be that situation? And you say, "Oh, Charlie, is it okay if I come over?" Charlie picks up the phone and says, "Oh, yeah, baby, you can come over. You want to watch TV or something?" Oh, yeah. You know what? After you've been there for a few hours, it's getting kind of late. Is it okay if I sleep on the couch? And he said, "Oh, no, I'll let you. You be sleeping in the bed. I'll sleep on the couch." You see how these things get together, don't you? It could possibly be a prostitute. So what was all this rambling on about? Prostitutes don't just stand on the corner in the wee hours of the night and the early morning, on the corners of dilapidated buildings and in poor neighborhoods. Prostitutes are not just simply call girls who make a phone call and see if you're up for that particular meeting this particular night. Prostitutes are not just those people or those women. Prostitutes are also those women who are not doing so well. Not that the other ones that I just mentioned are doing all that great, but there are other common people, everyday folks, poor women, working poor women, who just need a little bit of help over that hump. And they will compromise their morality, their values, just to get those material things that they need. And not necessarily talking about a living room suite or a refrigerator or stove or a stereo, but paying her cell phone bill so that she can communicate with her kids. It's probably staying with another parent because she's been labeled as an unfit parent. Probably money to put food in the refrigerator if she does have kids living with her. Possibly pay part of her rent, if not all of her rent, because she has not been gainfully employed for quite a while, or she's not receiving enough benefits from the government, if that's her situation or circumstance. You might just be a prostitute. So don't think just because you're not standing on the corner, you're not selling yourself short. What do you think about this? Could you possibly be or have been engaging in activities that are reflective of being a prostitute? This is Brother Teacher. What do you think?